Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chris Taylor. With me today is Daniel Aubichon, and today we are doing the very first episode of Couch Co-op, an exciting new way of doing Let's Plays / podcasts.
How we do it? Actually, we do it by recording the video.
I was trying to say, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great, actually. Playing video games and talking about video games and the life thereof and all that fun stuff. I mean, we get to discuss different topics, so this is going to be interesting.
Yes.
So what's on deck for today?
Well, today it's going to be emulation and piracy. Is it good? Is it bad? Is the internet just going to be flaming us from episode 1? Let's find out. But first, a brief little kind of an explanation on how I came about this idea. And I think I came about this idea the same way a lot of other people came up with an idea like this. I love playing games. You love playing games, I'm sure.
Do.
Yeah,
I do. I'm in the middle of 3 of them right now.
Well, that's just because you play too much. And
Yeah.
we'll get to that actually in a minute. But, so I remember back when I was a kid, me and my brother would play games all the time. And we didn't have the internet, and the internet didn't even exist really at the time. And what we would do is we'd just play a level, toss the controller back and forth between lives or between levels, and just kind of play a game that way. So what this is kind of a semi-podcast, semi-let's play, where we kind of do the same thing. We just pick a topic, most of the time based on the game that we're playing, but sometimes just randomly, and just talk about video games while we're playing a game.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, it's been years since I've played Super Mario Land. Super Mario Land? Super Mario World?
It's a Super Mario World, and I almost
Super
died
Mario
just there.
World. Jeez, look at that. Yeah, so it's been forever, and it's good to play some of the classics again.
Yeah, well,
It
classics
makes you realize how hard these games really were.
Oh, this is so much easier compared to the 3D crap Marios that are out.
No, but I'm saying the actual difficulty level of the games are much higher when we were kids. I mean, go back and play the first Mario and try and beat it.
I have? Oh, son of a bitch. Okay, so as we've already established before I even started talking about the beginning, I suck at playing this game.
You said you could play this in an hour, so...
And I could play this in an hour. The question is, am I going to be able to play this in an hour?
Okay, well, how long has it been since you played and set that record for, being able to do it in an hour?
It's been a couple of years. Okay, so, to start things off, what have you been playing lately? You just mentioned you playing 3 games.
Yeah,
what are they?
In the middle of SimCity, StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, and Dead Space 3. Dead Space 3 because I got it for free with...
Come on, move faster. You can actually get a bunch of extra lives here.
Working on it, Jesus.
Well, you're not running fast enough. I'm giving you a break. I'm letting you talk.
It's been a long time since I've played this game. It's the first time I've even picked up the controller on a game in a while because I'm a PC gamer and not really a console gamer.
Well, whose fault is that, Mr. PC?
Well, that's because PC is just better. But
another argument for another episode.
I think we have, we're gonna have something else for that.
Oh, you have no idea. And I myself am playing a couple of games. I'm playing Persona 3 Portable. Awesome.
Oh, PSP? Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome Japanese RPG that originated on PS2. They made 2 versions on PS2. And then they took the original one, cut out a couple of things because the PSP hardware couldn't really handle a PS2 game entirely. It sometimes struggles on PS1 games. And yeah, it's just a great game. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm about, I think, the halfway point right now.
Okay.
And of a 70-hour game, I'm still at hour 35. So I've got a long way to go. And what else? I'm also just recently restarted Dead Space 1. I never really got into it the first time around, so I've just kind of tried to catch up on my gaming.
See, this is the thing. The only reason I'm even playing Dead Space is because I got it for free for EA's, we're sorry we screwed up deal from SimCity. And I'm really loving the story in it. It's really gripping. It's really entertaining. You actually care somewhat about the character. And I can definitely tell where I've missed story from the previous 2 games.
Do they at least do a good job of trying to catch you up?
Yeah, you're pretty caught up right in the beginning, so it's nothing that you're lost in. You understand what the monuments are and the markers.
Yeah, the things that make everybody crazy.
Yeah, and it puts you in the world right away, and you immediately have at least some knowledge of what's going on. And yeah, absolutely love the game so far. I can't wait to see where the story goes, and eventually I'll finish that up and move on to the next one. I still have to finish Hitman 2. Well, Hitman Absolution, technically, not Hitman 2.
Yeah, let's
Just
not
to be clear.
let's not talk about games that we have unfinished here. I mean, you're talking to the guy whose collection consists of, I think, 1,020 different titles, and yeah, like I maybe beat a third of them.
Well, one of the things I gotta say is that the first time I even played this game was at my friend Simon's house, and I was astounded because I mean we'd been on the Nintendo for so long that going to the Super NES was just a huge leap for us. I mean, we'd never seen anything like it. So this brings me back right then to the very first day, especially because we were playing at the first levels, so it was great.
I think my favorite memory of Super Nintendo, just in general, I think when we first got this system, there was this weird mail-in card where you can get Mario All-Stars after picking up your system. So my brother had mailed in for it, obviously, and I remember getting that game in this weird cardboard box. I mean, at the time, it was just packing slip stuff, but yeah, just throwing it out there.
Yeah. So on to topic, I guess, emulators and piracy. So we discussed this a little bit beforehand, just to find out what my opinion is on it, and I find that as soon as something is out of print, emulators really shouldn't have any problems with this, because if you can't find the game and you can't buy it at a store legally, or even used sometimes, just because it's next to impossible to find, I don't see why there's any problem with having it on an emulator.
So something like this you think would be perfectly fine?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this game though, you kind of have a fine line, just because you can still find this on the WiiWare.
You're supposed to
bloody
hit
hell.
a different button to suck that thing up.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky that the things are smaller now, but then again, and you just died.
Yes, thank you.
Hey,
my turn with the. Oh yeah, sorry.
Remember, it's every level or every death. And
Yeah.
I'm not even going to bother going back to grab stuff because I can do this level with the back of my hand.
Yeah, like I said, it's been like 10 plus years minimum that I haven't revisited this game.
Well, then turn off your computer and turn on your consoles. So me, I'm kind of a propagator towards emulator stuff. I mean, if you look at my computer, I have just about every single regular Nintendo and Super Nintendo game imaginable. I haven't played most of them, but I still have them. I think you're kind of on the right track in terms of whether or not it's still in print, but I also think in terms of, because it is available on the WiiWare, or it might be available further down the line on the DS, the 3DS's shop, would having something like this on an emulator even be legal anymore? I mean, it's still available, and it's not like it's $50 or $60 on eBay.
It's true, and that's where you hit the gray area, because it also depends on region. I mean, some of these games, Mario's a bad example, just because it's a game that will always be reproduced by Nintendo, just because they want to cash in as much as they can on their previous games. So,
well, hey, if you were Nintendo, wouldn't you do the same thing?
No, absolutely. It's all about making money. So it's what the game industry is. People forget that it's a business, and that's kind of what you have to do to maintain your business and continue making good games. Is sometimes you have to repackage and resell your old ones. So let's not say something like Mario, but
something like the original Aladdin game on Super Nintendo, something that will never be re-released anywhere.
Or even the original Aladdin game on the Sega Game Gear. I mean, if you want to go like weird, then go there, because you're not going to find that game on anywhere program, be it WiiWare or anything else like that, to have it again.
Yeah, but how many people even owned a Game Gear? I mean, if you had a handheld portable of choice, I mean, you always go with the Game Boy.
Yeah, I gotta remember how to do this here. This has been a while for me.
If you hadn't dropped, you might have actually been able to get a 1-up out of this, but too late.
Why?
Well, because if you're hitting all the things on the top of the head, you're gathering up a Q, and if you hit 8, you get an extra life. But then you drop down, and there's only 8.
Oh, really?
Wait, get the flower? There you go. Okay, so emulator stuff I think is okay depending on what console it is. If you take a look at my computer itself, I try to not get emulator things of things that you can still find on a regular basis. For a while I was actually working at the infamous game store that shall remain nameless because I can't afford to get sued.
Oh my god! Forgot about those.
Well, of course you forgot about those. It's been 10 years since you've had a controller in your hand. So for a while there, you could still find like PS1, PS2. I mean, when I started working there, the 360 had just been released, so I wouldn't even dream of trying to run a PS2 emulator. But nowadays, you can't find anything except for, I guess, current-gen systems. Do you think something, at this point, a PS2 emulator would be out of line, considering you can still find most of those games available, or even like remakes on PS3 with the Jack and Daxter collection, the Ratchet and Clank collection, the Sly Cooper collection, a lot of collections of platformers, because that's kind of what was there at the time?
Well, sorry, repeat the question.
Sorry,
I was trying to be a boss, okay? I'm sorry, people. I apologize.
and that took you a whole extra minute longer than it would have taken me.
Whatever.
It's
I
not
forgot you gotta knock him into the lava.
You
okay?
had fire. You could have just waited until the thing was leaning the right way. It
Anyways,
matters. Now we're not going to
question,
beat this in an hour.
Question.
Yeah, sorry, I do have a tendency to be a little long-winded. Emulators. Whether or not something is good for PS2, considering you can still find the games, or should you only be getting, say, PS2 games that you literally can't find anywhere?
This is the other thing too, is that running a PS2 emulator on a computer, you're not doing the game justice, because most PS2 emulators require so much extra hardware specs. I mean, maybe nowadays it'll be a little bit better, just because the video cards and RAM have come down in price dramatically. But you're talking about a lot of power to run just an emulator. And to buy a PS2, and especially used PS2 games, are still everywhere. So you can't really say that you can't find a PS2 game to play it. I mean, you can go to any, big box, well, maybe not big box store, but any game store and buy a used PS2 for almost next to nothing.
Not true.
What do you mean not true?
It's not true. I've just had my PS2 laser died, and I don't have a lens cleaner or anything. I've walked into 3 game stores, and none of them carry PS2s anymore.
Okay.
The thing is, they're giving like next to nothing on the systems because nobody's looking for them, so they don't even have any in stock because nobody wants to get rid of them.
Okay, fine. So then eBay. Yeah, I'm sure you can find a PS2 on eBay. And even if you don't have a PS2 on eBay, you can find an old PS3 on eBay, the first gen models that were still backwards compatible, and
that are now 7 years old, and those lasers probably don't work either.
Or whatever. I mean, they won't work if you just. Bloody hell.
Yeah, way to go, dude.
Anyways,
I want an answer. I'm waiting for it.
The lasers won't work on the PS3s only if they've been used as straight up Blu-ray machines. I mean, I've seen those go very quick, just based on that. I mean, when the PS3 first came out for those first gen PS3s, you had a bunch of people who were just using them as Blu-ray players, just because Blu-ray players were more expensive than buying a PS3 at the time.
Which is actually kind of hard to believe, considering that a PS3 brand new was still like $700 Canadian.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And then let's also bear in mind that when we're talking about prices, we are Canadian people, so we will be talking Canadian prices. There are some discrepancies.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, which type is it?
It's that one.
Is it this
it's the one that you're at now.
Fantastic.
Always remember, it's after the green block that you have to get, because the green block is there to remind you that the green switch is like right there. And don't get hit by the football guy. I mean, just jump and avoid him. You don't even need to kill him.
I want to kill him. Now that he's made me lose my flower, he's got to die.
Yeah, but he's going to kill you first, and then I'm going to have the
him.
controller, and then it's just going to be really, really funny. It's the very top one.
Of course it is.
So, no, there's a shell further on. See? Now just don't hit it. There you go. Now grab it. And look up.
I'm looking up. And release. Haha! Success.
Barely. With my help.
Well,
Okay.
you know what? It's been a long time, and I know I'm using that excuse often, but you know what? That's just too damn bad for you.
You know what? Maybe I should get somebody younger to do these things with me, so that I don't have this whole age discrepancy thing.
Here, do your damn power switch thing.
Damn right I'm going to do the power switch thing. And I'm even going to skip getting the 1-up, because I don't need the 1-up soon. It's like, oop, oh, actually. Wait until he's looking away, and then kick it.
Oh! You missed it.
I missed it by 1. Stupid shells. Okay, so does this actually count as a level? Do I give the controller back to you right now?
You do another level.
You're damn right I do.
So yeah, the doing emulating PS2 games, I don't find that it's absolutely necessary. Just because the PS2 games, if you have an old PS3, are still backwards compatible. You can play those games, a lot of those games, very easily still nowadays. I mean, just looking around this room, I see like shelves of PS2 games that you have.
And behind you are some PSP
behind
games.
me, and just surrounded by it. So even if you don't have it, I'm sure there's a friend that has it.
Yeah, but how many of... Okay, let's go just very briefly to loaning things. I mean, how often have you ever had a friend that's like, oh, I'm totally trustworthy, you don't have to worry about it. 2 days later, it's like, oh, your disc is scratched now, you can't use it anymore. I mean, would you really... I know I'm a trustworthy guy, and I know a lot of people think I'm a trustworthy guy, but do you really think that a lot of other people out there are willing to loan their stuff, especially considering PS2 things are a lot harder to find nowadays than they were 3-4 years ago?
Well, it all depends on the game, too. I mean, I'm not going to lend a really rare game to somebody just because I don't want it to be destroyed. But you have to keep in mind that you know your friends. You know which ones are the ones who are going to be responsible with your stuff and the ones who aren't.
Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of people who are more responsible with their stuff than I am with my own stuff. Which is kind of sad, considering my bookshelves are kind of broken because of how many DVDs and games I have. And yes, I am indeed skipping to the same part that Dan did. However, this is just an easier way to finishing this level because I don't like the second half of it. Oh.
Yeah, a little overzealous there.
Hey, I like to fly. And do I get it? And we have a bonus level!
Bonus.
Okay, so we're talking about emulation, obviously. Personally, it really depends on how easy games are to find for me. Like, PS2 games are getting harder. I think sooner or later I'm either going to get a better computer to run a PS2 emulator, or I'm just going to give up looking for these games in the first place. And how many? Oh, only one?
That's pretty sad.
Oh, I'd like to see you do better, oldie.
Now, the other problem with emulation, I mean, there's a lot of places that you can go to get good games. One of them is Good Old Games. I know we discussed this before, and it's mostly for PC stuff, but you have to remember that a lot of console stuff, especially the early stuff, was ported from PC or was ported to PC eventually. And you can get a lot of those games, and Steam also has some of those as well. Not as many, obviously, but the options are still there.
No, the options are going to be there no matter what. It's just a matter of, do you want to take the effort to actually find these things on your own and not fall in a hole after also being overzealous?
See, I forgot about flying. So.
Yeah, well, maybe now those ghosts are going to kill you, and it's going to be my turn again, and then I can do something that.
Oh, so close.
Oh, you didn't even have a chance, dude. Okay, now for me, a lot of the older stuff, especially when it comes down to the really expensive, say, Super Nintendo RPGs, the things that are worth looking for because they are too expensive, I don't mind having an emulator for. But my own personal opinion is that if you have a way of getting them, you should at least pay for it. Like, we're playing Super Mario World, obviously with that timer that I forgot to turn off before we started recording. We are running this on an emulator because it's just a lot easier to record. I don't have the money for the gear to do a full-on, like, screen capture of a TV. But at the same time, I mean, I've had 3 Super Mario World cartridges. I have Super Mario World on my Wii. If I had the option of having it on my 3DS, I would. Some games you just are willing to shell out a lot of money for. Do you think other people who are more inclined of just getting the emulator stuff because it's easier, do you personally think that they should buy the games themselves? Or because they're so hard to find, or because they shouldn't be shelling out for a completely different system, that they... Why is the start button not working? Okay, well, I'm just going to skip this level, kind of, but I get another level after this because this is not cool. I don't want to pause recording just to fix the start button on a controller. Or to die!
Yeah, it's pretty sad right there.
Okay, but yes, the question. Would you think that somebody would have to buy a system to play a game, or do you think if it's only viable if they already have the system? Okay, that's actually just a long... Here's the short version. If somebody already owns a Wii, and they have emulator stuff on their computer, do you think they should shell out the money for all of the emulator stuff that they are getting? Or do you think they should only shell out the money for the stuff that's worth it, like Mario World, but not necessarily all the stuff that they have, but aren't necessarily going to want to play?
Well, I mean, you're kind of drawing into a world that doesn't exist. I mean, people who have access to the emulators are not going to be the kind of people who rebuy the games.
I am.
Well,
I've been running emulators for years, and I still, as soon as I saw that Mario World was available, I bought it right away. And this is your level.
Christ again.
Yeah, you try talking and playing at the same time and not having run-on sentences. It's alright, you're gonna die.
Oh yeah, I know. I've always hated water levels.
Because the physics on this thing is crap. I mean, even Tomb Raider got this right, and Tomb Raider's 1,000 years old. Get the fire flower, it's just a lot easier. And don't die to the fish that wants to give you a kiss.
Oh, that's what it's trying to do?
Yeah.
That's not what
You didn't see the fish lips puffing up? It's like,
that's not what I thought he was trying to do.
I want to give you... Yeah, that's exactly what it was doing. I think. I don't know.
Come here, you bastard.
Hey, watch the language. This is a PG-13 show.
Is it really?
Have I said the F word yet?
No, which is surprising because you're usually the first one
to throw the F words out. Yes, we're going to try to keep this language as clean as possible. And that is just going to screw you over.
Bounce. I'm taking you with me.
And then you're going to get hit by a shell.
Oh, look at that.
Lucky. Don't try to say that was skill. That was all luck, and we both know it. Because that sleeping fish is just going to get you. But yes, like, I mean, I'm the type of person that if I have an emulator, I'm still going to try and find the physical copy or a digital copy. It's, you know, legal. I mean, it's not like emulation is as hardcore bad as piracy is, but it is something that kind of hits a gray area in a slightly darker way than, well, some other forms of piracy. Because there are a lot of people out there who have the emulator who would never in a million years spend them all.
Wow, that's class right there.
Who would never in a million years spend the money for it because they already got it for free. I mean, granted, that's a completely different issue as well, but if you have the means to, or if it's available, I think you should be spending the money on it, especially a game like Mario, which is, you know, a lot of fun, or just...
Yeah, but then it comes to also, I mean, where's the line? I mean, if I've already bought this game for multiple systems, let's say, and even if I haven't bought it for multiple systems, even if I only bought it for one system, if I already bought it for the original Super Nintendo, don't I have the right to play it on an emulator? I mean, I own the game, so it doesn't really matter like if I'm playing it on an emulator on a computer or if I'm playing it on my original Super Nintendo. If it's in my library, why don't I play it? Do I have to buy it again?
No, but I think that if you already own it, shouldn't you be playing it on the system that you own it for? And yes, I am doing this level for a third time. There is a reason behind it. I'm doing 2 levels at once this time, but I'm technically doing the same level twice, or 2 levels that we've already beaten, so it doesn't count. And it gives you a chance to talk, so I don't have to.
Yeah, so playing on the Super Nintendo versus playing on a computer, I find, you know, the hassle of setting it up on the computer is not setting it up on the Super Nintendo isn't necessarily worth it. So why bother doing it?
Because that's what's legal. Oh, really?
The hell was that for?
I don't know, but I just got a 1-up. I guess it's because I had the key in my hand when I went over the checkpoint.
Why is it not legal? I own the game. I can play it on the emulator. Remember, emulation was originally brought in to be a backup of a game. That's
but do you remember what it was supposed to be? The emulator itself was made by a third party, yes, but the game ROMs, rather than it being distributed over the internet, you were supposed to rip the ROMs yourself, so that you're technically just getting the same game that you already own.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if it's coming from a third party or not.
But it does. I mean, the fact that they're distributing it, yes, you're not the ones that in the wrong, but they are, and you're taking advantage of them. 26. Your go.
Bloody hell.
But I mean, I think now we're kind of crossing over more into the piracy aspect of it, because if you're getting something off of somebody else for free, that's pirating. If you're actually ripping the ROM yourself in an effort to, you know, keep your nostalgia glasses on, then that's one thing. Now, granted, I'm a hypocrite saying this because I have a computer with billions of games of Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo that I don't own. But at the same time, if I've played it and if I like it and I know it's available through something like WiiWare, DSiWare, you know, when Nintendo releases a Wii U that's worth owning and they put it on that too, I'll pick it up on that instead. I mean, if the means are there and the game was good enough, yeah, I don't mind putting money towards it. The developers of the game deserve money. It's kind of the reason why they're in the game business and not the game profit charity thing.
Game charity?
That's actually the word I was looking for, but, you know, I was distracted by your failure to grab shells proper.
What? How did I fail at that?
You were about to, okay? The thing was going to hit you, and now you're just going to have to speed along and get the checkpoint and fall into your pit of doom. What?
Oh, look at that!
Oh, yeah, you got lucky again. You're old. Shut up.
Oh, yeah. That was total skill right there.
In the same way that me drinking a beer while doing this is skill and not just something to do while you're talking. Oh, 2 in a row. Good job. Oh, no. You only get 2. Actually, coming to that point, have you ever made it so that you got all of them as
I've done it
one-ups?
once before, yes.
Yeah, but the problem, it's all random. There's no way of knowing for sure what you're going to get. 20. My ideal age. If only I was 20 again.
Oh man, I'm so happy I'm not 20 anymore.
Oh, 20 was fun.
It was fun, but I was also an idiot. I mean, I'm not saying that much has changed now, but...
Yeah, you really don't want me to open that can of worms. But I love you. In your own... Oh!
See, there you go again.
Me,
So,
you're distracting me.
When it comes to
with your
piracy, also, I mean, there's so much... There is so much piracy. I mean, Game of Thrones was the most pirated show ever.
No, the show is just amazing.
The show is amazing, and a lot of people either don't have access to HBO or are not willing to pay HBO's fees to get the show.
Isn't it only $15 a month, depending on your provider?
It is only $15 a month because it comes with the movie network and all that other stuff. But
yeah. Well, it's HBO Canada here.
Yeah, it's HBO Canada.
Instead of it being what was it? TMN3.
The other problem is that because it's HBO Canada, we don't have access to HBO Go as of the time of this recording. That might change, and that's one of the things that a lot of Canadians are really pissed about. We're paying the same price, if not more, than Americans, and we don't even get access to the same kind of services.
Okay, what is HBO Go? Because
it allows you to watch all your HBO stuff streaming on your device.
So it's a Netflix for HBO?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. Well, the thing is with that is that instead of just having HBO, we have HBO and like 4 or 5 other movie networks. So instead of us paying $15 a month to get HBO with all the add-ons with that, we're getting the movie network that happens to have an HBO on it. I mean, that's not identical, but it is kind of something extra.
That's true. But
and I just lost Yoshi because I had to talk.
When we're coming back to the games industry, I mean, we're talking a little bit more about movies and TV shows here, but when it comes to the game industry for piracy, you have a lot of other issues where the pirates are getting the better games. When I say better games, I mean if you look at something like SimCity
or Diablo,
which was a complete disaster.
40.
Its launch was a mess. Nobody was able to get online for about a week, and
Error 37 was my
Error 37,
which is my favorite error code of all time because I'm a huge Clerks fan, and I got Diablo for my girlfriend. Well, I technically got it for me, but her computer could actually run the damn thing, and she couldn't play for the first day and a half. And as soon as she's like, "Yeah, it's some kind of weird error 37," and I just couldn't help but laugh my ass off because if you're gonna make an error and you're gonna like model it after Clerks. A part of me was like, Blizzard did that on purpose. Like, they totally did that on purpose. They're like, we're just going to make people who are, like, spending way too much time worrying about games or issues that are not really important to us because we want their money, and just troll the shit out of them. Hey, look, first S word.
But then again, like I said, when it comes to game piracy, people are pirating games a lot just to get away from the DRM that's being put into place to stop piracy. If you had SimCity with no DRM, you would have had a game that people would have enjoyed right away. And I know they covered it up saying like, oh, it's not DRM, it's a massive multiplayer online game, or these features are necessary for the type of gameplay that we want to do. But then you actually play the game, and those features actually break the game. I mean, I'm still waiting for updates for SimCity. I haven't touched it just because I'm waiting for updates to fix the recycling plant bugs. I'm waiting for updates to fix the way towns interact with one another in the regions, and these are all supposed to be features that are in the game, you know, because of the DRM. So if you're not going to have those features even work, then why bother having them to begin with?
Well, my stance on that is that if you're going to make a game that's online only, make sure that your game works on the day it gets released. I mean, Diablo and Sims, I mean, both of those games were touted to be games that absolutely needed to be online to stop piracy, to stop cheaters. I mean, Diablo, I kind of understand it because, I mean, my God, if you play Diablo 2 at any point, you see a bunch of people spamming the chats or with a bunch of hacked items that don't technically exist in the...
Oh, bollocks. Right there, too.
Oh, and that's a long death sequence. I mean, Diablo makes kind of sense to have it online only. The SimCity does not make any sense at all. I mean, I'm playing Super Nintendo right now. I remember playing SimCity on the Super Nintendo. I didn't need online for this. I just needed to make a really big city and then have Bowser come in and wreck the place completely. I mean, where's the online necessary for that?
And that's the thing. I mean, most people... there are some people who are going to appreciate the region options because you get to play with your friends and see what they do with their cities and interact with them. But then those interactions are currently breaking the game, and that's...
Well, what do you mean by breaking the game? Like, I haven't played SimCity at all. I played Diablo,
okay,
not
so
SimCity.
In SimCity, you're allowed to send services to other cities. So if you have an excess of police force or water or power or recycling, garbage, anything, you can send your excess to your neighbors and for money. So you get some extra cash out of the deal, and the other city doesn't have to spend the resources to get, you know, a fire station or police station, which is very expensive to set up and maintain.
Dang it, I missed that jump.
Now the problem with that is that there is such a huge delay in getting those services. If I were to send those services to you,
by the time I get them, I already have them.
No, by the time you get them, your city is burned down, or you know, crime is rampant because I'm sending you 14 cop cars, but you know, maybe 4 show up, and they don't really do anything properly because they don't arrest them, and there's just problems with the mechanics in the game that is hindering it from being the success that it's supposed to be. The biggest one for me, one of my cities was entirely dependent on recycling resources, because you can make a lot of money recycling and then selling your recycled materials to the world market.
By the way, while you're talking, this is how you get to the top. Don't give me that look.
Yeah. So while you're selling your items to the world market, I was actually running my city in a deficit because the recycling center and everything to go with it is very expensive.
Also, that's how you beat a boss in 2 seconds rather than 3 minutes.
Yeah, thanks. So while the city was running in a deficit, I was making extra money through the recycling plant, selling to the world market, and my recycling trucks going to my other cities to get more recycling material to make more money and make everything run better. The problem is that the recycling material that was being brought back from the other cities was clogging up the recycling plant. So once it was full with materials from other cities, it would shut down. And now my city is running at $5,000 in the negative per hour, and I am screwed because there's nothing working. So that city is literally hasn't been touched. It hasn't been opened. They still haven't fixed it. And it's been 4 weeks now since the launch of the game, and they still haven't fixed that recycling problem. Never mind the traffic issues. You have entire halves of the city burned down because the fire trucks can't get out of the gridlock that is the traffic in your city. And I'm sorry, there's no way that a city of 100,000 people has 300,000 cars. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, it makes sense if there was a bunch of clones that weren't actually part of the population. But I don't think that's actually in time to, reality. Okay, so you think that because of issues like this that piracy is a solution to the problem?
It's not a solution, but the problem is that developers aren't exactly making it easy for people to get their games legally. They're being punished for buying a game and trying to own it
legitimately.
And if you were to pirate that game, you wouldn't have any DRM crap to deal with. So
yeah, but you would still have the issues with the traffic and the recycling, and then because it's pirated, chances are it's going to be either a lot harder for you to get a patch on it, or if you do get a patch, you're going to have to get the whole thing deleted off your computer. Because Sims runs on Origin, and Origin checks your computer for everything.
okay, so let's say we're not talking just about SimCity here. SimCity also has an always online DRM requirement, which means that if you happen to
took a nosedive into a lava pool.
If you were to say take your laptop to the country, which I do sometimes, I go see family up north. There's no internet connection up there. There's barely phone connection up there.
You wouldn't even be able to run Sims up there.
But that's what I'm saying, is that if I bring my laptop up, I have no internet connection, which means that I can't actually play SimCity because it has an always online DRM requirement. So I can't even play the games that I've purchased because they have to connect to the servers of EA.
Yeah, see, something like that I just don't understand. I mean, if you bought a game on launch day, you should be able to play it. The always online DRM is kind of retarded.
Now you have to remember though, this kind of
this
thing
is
started. No, this started originally with CDs. People who purchased their games legitimately wanted to play it without constantly having to carry a bunch of CDs around for authentication purposes. I did it too. You would go to GameCopyWorld.com, back in the day. You download the cracked exe so that you wouldn't have to constantly pop in your CD to play the game. And that's all you would have to do. I mean, I owned my games legitimately, but constantly having to put wear and tear on my discs was pointless for me. I mean, why am I gonna ruin my $60 game disc when I can just get a cracked exe and play it that way?
Yeah, but that's not really piracy. That's just taking your game and putting a patch.
But that's how it started. Because now somebody could take that same game disc, put it online for download, 700 megabytes. You install it on your own computer using, some sort of ISO software, and you install the cracked. Ouch, that sucks.
Yeah, well, if you, I can't really tell you not to talk. That's the whole point of this thing.
And then you would install the crack, and you wouldn't need the CD anyways. So that would be your first type of piracy right there. And growing up, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of friends who were like, "Oh yeah, I'll just borrow the CD from you, install it on my computer, and then I don't need the CD anymore."
Yeah, well, back in the day, everything was on a floppy disk, and it was just saved on your computer in the first place. Like, I remember, like way back in the day, I would go to a dollar store just to pick up a bunch of freeware. Like, I got Wolfenstein 3D, the first episode, as a freeware disc for $1 at the dollar store.
Yes, but you have to also remember that Wolfenstein 3D, the full version, had a manual, and the code in the manual to open up the game was, open page 4, line 5, word 3, and then you would have to enter that word to play the game. So you had copy protection ever since then too.
Yeah, but it wasn't something that would hinder you from playing the game the moment you bought it. I mean, that's my point.
Yes.
You bought any game, like, I'm a console player, so I never really have to worry about this. There are stupid console rules that we have to follow, but that's another issue for another episode. But, I mean, you buy a console game launch day, you play your console game launch day. You buy a PC game, and if it has this crappy, always online DRM, if the servers decide not to work, or if there's more people that bought the game that was expected, your game's not going to run. You buy it on a console, and it will. That is a problem that's just come up recently, and that we never had to worry about back in the day with floppy disks, or never even, like, internet connection for everybody. This is your level. You died from a stupid reason. I saved your ass. Now you're going to die again, and I'm going to save your ass again. That's just how we're going to play. So, I mean, back in the day, online was never really an issue, and now it is. I don't think that makes piracy better. It does make a lot of people understand it, though, and kind of like... There's a reason for it, but I don't think it's a very smart reason. And I do think that regardless of whether or not you have to go through leaps and bounds, if you buy a game, you should be able to play the game, but you should also buy your game. I mean, emulators are one thing. You can't find half the stuff that we're playing, or that we will be playing in future episodes, anywhere. And even if you could, they'd be like $80, $100, and that's just not feasible for anybody who works a full-time job and has rent and bills to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just... at the same time, gaming is a hobby. It's,
And
you know,
luxury.
exactly. It's not food, shelter, or clothing. It's something that you do to pass the time. And I mean, there are plenty of different things that you can do to pass the time. Read a book, watch a podcast, or in this case, a tubecast. There are plenty of things that you can do that don't require spending money, or not requiring to spend the money as expensive as video gaming is going to end up being one day, more so than it is now. But that really doesn't make piracy better. It just kind of gives people excuses for why they do it in the first place.
I am doing this right, aren't I? I mean,
I hope so. I forget what this level is like, but I wouldn't really hit that POW block until right about now. And you already have one there, so.
No, but I think you need to...
Well, no, you need one, but there's a key somewhere earlier on that you can only get to if you use the POW block in the right place. I think you just skipped it. Like, you're near the end now. You're in a cave. What are you going to do flying in a cave? And how did you not die to the football guy?
I smacked him with my cape.
You luckily smacked him with your cape.
Ah, come here, bat. I got something for you.
You just waited, and now there's
what?
three!
What? Come on.
And they jump, and you're near the end, don't worry. There you go.
Yay, 20.
You beat a level.
What was the subject that we were on?
Piracy and why there's excuses for it rather than reasons to do it.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of excuses of why to pirate. I mean, none of them are legitimate. People will say, oh, you know, DRM and developers don't, not developers, but publishers don't deserve it.
Yeah, like Activision is so full of crap. I still want to play Call of Duty, but I'm not going to pay money for it. That's just stupid. I mean, if you like a game, pay for it. That's just the rules of the game. I mean, if you like a car, you're not just going to steal a car. Okay, that's a horrible example, but...
No, but it does, you know, bring it back to...
How the hell am I going to get past this thing?
Do you remember that when you used to go to theaters, you would have that, you know, you wouldn't steal a candy bar commercial? Like, you wouldn't steal a candy bar, you wouldn't steal a purse, so why are you going to steal a movie? The same principle applies. I mean, it is still theft. It's intellectual theft, and when it comes to games, it's the same thing. I mean, we've been desensitized to it just because there's no real consequences. You know, a lot of people they don't get caught with it, so why would they have any consequences to not download video games?
Well, I mean. You went all deep on me. That's not cool. The thing is with that, you know, not gonna steal a candy bar, so why would you steal a movie guy? He gets paid before the movie even comes out. I see a lot of people making excuses like this, and for a while I did this myself. The guy who makes the movie, he gets his money right away. The guy who makes music, and when people download music, the artist never gets the money from the CD. They get about 12 cents on that thing. And it's the people who own the artists, the record labels and stuff, that get the money for it. I think that's the difference between video game industry and just about every other industry, is that whoever makes the game does, in fact, get the money for it.
No, they get some money for it, but they don't get...
And this haunted house is yours because I suck at this one. You know,
it works in the same way. It's the developer who usually gets shafted, and it's the...
Yeah, I mean, what's going to happen if Studio C, who works under Activision, makes a game that nobody buys because they hate Activision? Well, Activision's going to stay around, and Studio C, who made a game that might be a quality game, are going to be the ones that get blamed for it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, but when it comes to piracy, you have to keep in mind that there are some very good top-selling games that are, I mean, they're still going to get pirated, but they're still making millions of dollars. And I mean, like, millions upon millions of dollars. Look at any of the Call of Duty games. People buy them because they love them, and that's why they buy them. So,
okay, well, then take a look at something like this, okay? You're talking about millions and millions of sales. Tomb Raider just announced that they sold, I think, 2.8 million copies? And Square Enix are saying, yeah, that was kind of a failure. I mean, what kind of a world do we live in where 2.8 million copies of the game sold? That's not even counting the people who pirated the game because, you know, they're douchebags who don't want to pay for their games. 2.8 million people bought that game, and it's still considered a failure. I mean, is it because the production values are getting too high, or is it just because the developers are expecting too much of the people buying the games in the first place? And how does this tie into piracy? Because people are going to be pirating games no matter what. I mean, look... At any point in time, if somebody can get something for free, they will get something for free. It doesn't matter whether or not it's right. It matters about whether or not the person who's doing the stealing actually cares. And 99% of the time, they don't. Because they say, okay, I can get this for free. Why would I spend money on something when I have it now?
How did I kill that thing?
I don't know. But I kind of... yeah, right there. I kind of want to know how you killed that thing so I can do it myself next time. Because that's where I died. 26. That's how old I'm going to be in a week. Woo!
Congratulations.
Yeah, I survived 26 years of talking way too much and not getting killed for it. So, look, no matter what, people are going to pirate things. No matter what, piracy is wrong. No matter what, emulators are kind of the gray area that lives in the same house that piracy built, because in the end, you are still stealing.
It's true.
At this point, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it sucks that piracy exists. It sucks that the people who are going to get screwed over by it are the ones who are actually not at fault. And it also sucks that in the case of things like Diablo or The Sims, you know there are going to be people who come out with pirated versions of the game that arguably work better than the official versions of the game because you don't have to get stuck in that always online DRM. Like, do you have a solution for this?
Well, I'm not a developer, so I don't have all the answers, obviously. I'm not an expert in the industry, but what I have seen is some developers are taking the DRM question on themselves. And for, say, the developers of Witcher 3 are completely abolishing DRM for their next game. Or they're going to try, at least, to get rid of it. They're going to try and convince the publisher not to do any DRM, because it's pointless. I mean, you're putting all this extra development time into DRM, and what you're really doing is punishing the people who are buying your games legitimately, because the pirates don't have DRM. I mean, it's been coded out, so why are they going to even bother with it?
Yeah, I mean, I've even been talking to people who are like, yeah, anytime a PC game is going to come out where I need to play it online all the time, I'm not going to buy that game. I'm going to steal it because there's no point. If it's not going to work the day it comes out, why should I spend the money to buy it on day one? And then because the games industry is kind of like looking at it the way the movie industry is looking at it, where that first week of sales, if it doesn't hit a certain number of copies, it's considered a failure. Now,
that's because it shouldn't be considered the same way, because you're not working on... I know they want to think that games are
oh, damn it! I just...
I know they...
what the hell?
Nice
okay, hey, it stopped on its own, thank... it just moved to another side, what the hell? Look at... Oh. Yeah, as soon as that circle thing started, there was no way in hell I was coming back. So that was really cool, though. I want to see that happen again, just for fun. Like, I want to see that go in a circle. And there we go! I got my wish.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, don't bother.
So while the game industry would like to compare themselves to the movie industry, they don't work on nearly the same principle. I mean, you're not basing your releases on what's happening in that week, because it's not like going to a theater. Your games are going to be on the shelf for months to come. You're not talking
and in some cases years. I mean,
some cases years.
Lots of games that get released that are still on the shelves. I mean, Twilight Princess on the Wii is still on sale. The new Super Mario Brothers. Anything that's kind of like a key player in the games industry, it stays on the shelves for as long as possible. I mean, that's just the way it is now. I mean, a movie sale, I can understand first week is the big thing, because hopefully they're the only movie that's released that week, and then as soon as like the next week starts, it's a new movie. There's a new movie that gets released every week minimum. But the game industry is not like that.
The other problem with the movie industry compared to the game industry is that the movie industry, when something comes out onto DVD or Blu-ray, you have something called chart pricing. The first week it's out, it's going to be cheaper than anything else that's available in the back order.
Nice.
So you have
not the back order stuff. The 28 on the screen is nice.
So say you have a movie that comes out. I'm just going to use Lord of the Rings as an example. The first week it comes out, or the first 2 weeks that it comes out, it's going to be $23. And then it's going to jump to $28. And then once it's in backlog, it's going to jump to $40. So if you were to buy all the DVDs the first week they came out, you're going to get them for a lot cheaper because that's just the way the system works. Whereas
Wait, we're talking about DVDs right now?
Yes, for DVDs and Blu-rays.
Okay.
You have a charting. You have a pricing system that's designed. You know, the newer it is, the cheaper it is. Whereas with games, it's the complete opposite. The newer it is, the more expensive it is. So the first, few weeks or even few months of a game, you're paying that full $60 price. And it only becomes cheap after it's, gotten to the point where it's, old, irrelevant, nobody cares about it anymore, and that's when they'll drop the price on it. But if they were to maybe adopt the model of the movie industry, which seems to be working for them because, DVD and Blu-ray sales are still going pretty strong, then maybe they'll have more sales. If I could go into a game store and pick up a brand new title for $30, and if I wanted to pick up an old game and I'd have to pay $60 for it, I can understand that, because that way the game store doesn't have to keep a bunch of old stock for no reason. They wouldn't want to keep, everyone would have already bought the game on day one when they wanted it, and they would only be holding on to old games for those collectors or people who are into that kind of eclectic game market. So
I'm so gonna die before the end of your speech, and I have so many different responses to that speech that I'm just trying to pay attention and not die. But hey, I didn't die. 40.
There you go. Nice.
Okay, now the problem with that line of thinking is, I think,
if you want to base your sales on a first week framework, then you can't have your first week of price be $60 a game or $80 a game. You've got to bring it down to a place where people think it's going to be a bargain and they want to pick it up that first week.
Not a single one up.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, the problem with that is that I think, okay, maybe I got this wrong. The game industry doesn't necessarily look at the first week. They do, however, they look at the first month. They at least give it a full month on the shelf to really determine whether or not it's going to be big. Because, yes, lots of games get released in the same day, and plenty of games get released in the same month. But most of the time, it kind of has like a good month-long chance to kind of make its money back before they start considering it a failure. With something like Kingdoms of Amalur, awesome new IP. I think it sold 1.2 million copies, and they needed to sell like 3 or 4 just to make the money back on that thing. DVDs, on the other hand, you were mentioning how they're actually cheaper to buy when they're first released. I think you're wrong completely on that. There are well, I mean, you take a look at and you screwed yourself over from even being able to get into that door.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Yeah, it's what I do.
Well aware.
Like, I can buy a DVD dirt cheap 2 months after it gets released. I mean, I have a very specific rule.
Not 2 months.
Oh, okay, maybe not necessarily 2 months, but they don't stay up in the high echelon price ranges for a long time the way that video games do. Video games are going to stay at $60 for like months before like the next game in that series or the next game by that company gets released, where they actually do drop the price.
But you have to keep in mind that when it comes to DVDs, the ones that you find in the bargain basement are not going to be the ones that were top sellers normally. The only time they'll be in the bargain basement is if it's done its run. Even to this day you can't find Lord of the Rings in the bargain bin. It's not.
Yes, you can. I just saw it today. There was a 3-pack of the original
of the old version that has been replaced by the new version.
Oh, you're talking about the extended cut where it's like 7 hours long, and you need to do like a marathon session to watch those things. Yeah, I'm never going to watch those.
But that's what I'm saying, is that they came out with a new Blu-ray set, so the old one has been discounted. But when it comes to the good stuff, it's not going to be discounted so easily. You'll have your first DVD that comes out, and it's going to be like I said, it's going to be chart pricing, so it's going to be very cheap. Oh my God!
You can tell that it's Dan talking because he can't jump when he's talking.
Yeah, seriously. It's Dan playing, not Dan talking.
Well, playing and talking, and right into the lava pit. And this is why I wanted to do my 1 hour speed run. This whole section would have gotten skipped my way, but no, we have to do each level.
I didn't say we have to do each level.
You didn't really say anything. I just kind of went along the path. Yeah, but the thing is, even games are like that. I mean, if a game is going to sell at $60, it's going to sell at $60. If a game is going to only sell at $20, it's only going to sell at $20. I have rules for DVDs just the same way I have rules for games. I never buy any movie for more than $15, and I never buy any TV season for more than $30. I mean, you see any TV series that gets released, and usually they get released around, I want to say September, October for the stuff that I watch. Yeah, they get released as a $50 box set first week. No problem there. A month later, you can find them for $30. Like, why would you spend more?
It wouldn't be a month later, though.
I've seen How I Met Your Mother. Season 7 we're on now?
Okay, well, that's How I Met Your Mother.
No. Okay, Supernatural, same thing.
Yeah,
Supernatural, I bought day one because it was $60 and it was Supernatural, and I don't have access to a TV, and I don't feel like watching it on the internet because, as you can plainly see, my computer sucks.
Okay, let's talk about titles that are a lot more mainstream than that. Okay?
So, like what? Supernatural's mainstream. Don't give me that.
But it's...
Okay, fine. It has a convention, but it is still mainstream. Uh-oh. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Yay! It stopped on its own thing. Oh.
How did that not kill you?
It's just, you talk, I play, because I can't do them both at the same time.
Okay, so let's talk about, movie titles. Avengers. When Avengers first comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, the DVD is going to be $20. The Blu-ray is going to be $25. It's going to be something super cheap and very easy for the majority to buy.
Wow, crap. Okay, run and don't... Oh! I know that was running out. I can't believe I made that.
So, when the Avengers comes out at first, it comes out, cheap. You have millions of people who are buying it because the first week it comes out, first of all, there's a lot of buzz for it. And
second of all, it was an awesome movie.
It was an awesome movie, but, you are going to give it to the populace at a really cheap rate, and, they're going to print tons and tons and tons of copies of it anyways. So, that's how they're going to make their money, is the first week of sales. And if you want to do something similar for games, and it shouldn't be a problem, but you have to keep in mind...
How did I not go through the hole?
I don't know.
That was just a wrong thing to say out loud.
We're still in this castle?
Well, if you didn't suck so bad...
Real quick, then, if you're going to complain about selling 2 million games like Tomb Raider did for $60...
and consider that a failure somehow.
Consider it a failure, then why not sell Tomb Raider for $30 a piece, but then make, 5 million in sales, or 8 million in sales?
Well, the problem is that the same amount of money would still be being brought in.
No, it wouldn't be. If you made 5 million in sales at $30 a piece, versus
then you sell double at half the price. It's still the same amount of money.
You're making more. You're actually making a margin more than that, because the original sale was 2 million. If they made 2 million, if they sold 2 million copies and then sold 5 million copies, you are making more money. But yes, it's not a great deal amount more. We're not changing the world here, but you are still going to make more sales just because, oh my god, a brand new game, what's considered by most a AAA title.
Especially a reboot of an established character.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time they did that, it was Devil May Cry, which I think was an awesome game, but the fan community kind of crapped all over it, and it didn't sell nearly as well as Capcom had hoped.
So, if you're going to bitch and complain, then change your pricing model, change the way you do business, or, deal with the fact that some people are not going to buy your game on the first week. They're going to wait for it to hit the bargain basement. They're going to wait for it to come out on Steam, or whatever the case may be. When Steam has its summer sale.
No, when Steam has their...
Or any sale.
Every single day of the week, we have something that's dirt cheap sale, which is every day of the week. Like, I know plenty of people with Steam categories that they don't even count that on their backlog anymore because they have so many Steam games that they will never, ever play. Yeah, you have to hit the yellow guy. Basically, he's the guy jaw-jacking like I am. Except I'm way prettier than him. I hope. And if you think this is bad, there's another castle later on where there's 2 of those fireballs going at the same time. Yeah, you weren't going to make that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So do you think then that if games were just ever so slightly cheaper, that piracy would at least be on a downturn?
It would. I wouldn't say a downturn because people are always going to pirate games. They're always going to pirate music. They're always going to pirate movies.
But do you think it will actually happen less?
It will be more accessible to the general public. I mean, I don't buy games. Like I almost completely went past SimCity for many reasons, and especially always on VRM because, and the fact that I kind of hate EA a little bit.
But they're Canadian. You can't hate them.
No, they're not Canadian.
They were. They were established in British Columbia.
Were they? Oh, okay. Good
Or something like that.
So,
or New Brunswick. One of the provinces that start with B somewhere.
So my issue with that is that, you know, if you're gonna complain about game sales, then try a different model. Even if it's only for one game, even if it's, you know, you do it once with a AAA title, I know you might lose money on it, but that's the kind of risk you're gonna have to take. If you think you're gonna lose money anyways, then, you know, what's the worst that can happen? You know, you make a bunch more money than you thought you would because you took a pricing model that was, you know, different to the norm. There's a lot of things that can be done for that.
Oh, thank God I'm on Yoshi. That thing actually doesn't hit me at all.
Oh, I love old games for that. It'll just pass right through my head. It's fine. It's cool.
And yeah, I'm a dinosaur, but the sharp edge of a blade is not going to affect me because I'm a dinosaur.
No, he's wearing boots, dude. He's wearing boots.
Right, the boots are going to stop a saw.
Yeah. Didn't you see? It just did.
Yay! Because I was on Yoshi, I have the super special blue Yoshi. What the hell? I don't even know where I am right now. Okay, so one final thing, because we actually have just hit 1 hour of us jaw-jacking while playing Super Mario World. I didn't even think we'd get to an hour talking about piracy and emulation just flat out. I thought we'd just deject into talking about the game. Is that there are plenty of rumors, as there always are whenever there's a new console in mind, that Microsoft's new system is going to be always online. That to even play your games, you need to be hooked up to Microsoft's online servers to make sure that, well, your system is on and not hacked, or any other stupid reason that they're going to come up with for it.
I've heard even worse than that they were going to completely abolish the way used games work. And
yeah, well, the thing is, with that rumor, I take it with a grain of salt just because they had the exact identical rumor for the PS3 before it launched. Yeah, so I can't take that for truth at all.
But that's not entirely unfeasible either. I mean,
no, it's not unfeasible. It wasn't unfeasible for the PS3, and it still didn't happen.
No, but especially because it's Sony. Sony loves, putting their foot in their mouth, so...
Yeah, well, it was said
don't
that
get me
Sony...
wrong. I love Sony. I love their products most of the time. They do a great job. I use their cameras for my video recording and editing. So I do like the company, but I mean sometimes I just don't know what the heck is going on.
My Yoshi's blue.
Yes, he's the flying one now.
What the hell is this?
I have never seen it
I've been playing this game for years. I have no idea what's going on right now. Is it because he was a special Yoshi?
I have no... Dude.
No, well, it's not going to happen again.
Dude, why didn't you go after him?
Because I'm already halfway through the level.
But he was a blue Yoshi.
So? You know what Yoshi matters? The green one.
So anyways, to finish it up, since we're running out of time, piracy is going to exist. It's not going to change until the industry decides to change first. I mean, you can try and put as much copy protection and DRM as you want on the games that people are going to get, but the only thing it's going to do is infuriate the fan base that is buying your games legitimately. Find a different way to copy protect. I know it's hard because it's expensive. You got to keep up with the hackers who are just as good as your programmers are.
And the moment they come up with a new way, the hackers are going to find a new way to break it, because that's just the way hackers are.
Then don't fight it, because it's not going to do you any good. It's only going to cost you more, and it's going to cost your game development more.
Yeah, but the problem with that line of thinking is that, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. Or if you can't find a way and you just accept it, you're rolling over and allowing it to happen. I know plenty of...
And you know what? There's plenty of industries that have done that. And one of those industries
is the music industry.
Not just the music industry, but it's the programming industry.
That was just dumb.
We'll cancel this now. But
we can get to a save if we beat this one.
Whatever.
I care. Alright, if you guys don't actually see the end of this level because we're talking, then yeah, we're going to get to the next world another episode. But yeah, this episode will be pretty much wrapped up soon. I don't know if there's ever going to be a system that's always online or that's going to completely abolish used sales. EB Games and GameStop are kind of they're an institution now. I mean, you need the EB Games, GameStop stamp of approval to even sell your game, because a place like Toys R Us is going to concentrate on selling toys. A place like Best Buy is going to concentrate on selling TVs. EB Games is going to sell games. And yes, the internet gets pissed off at who they are and what their business practices are, in much the same way that they get pissed off at the game industry for all the exact same reasons. But I mean, where do most people buy their video games? Where does mom and dad shop for little Jimmy? They go to the game store because little Jimmy wants a game. If little Jimmy wanted a TV or a surround sound system, they'd go to Best Buy. But if he wants a game, they're going to go to the store that says game in the name of the store. I mean, something like that's not going to happen. And if they ever did come out with a system that did completely get rid of used games, you're screwing over a whole lineup of people who have never, ever been able to afford the game industry in the first place. Just considering the fact that $60 for a game that's going to sit on the shelf for 2 months and then get pulled because the company gets closed, it's not smart business for anybody to do anything like that.
Well,
and used games is, again, another topic for another day.
Because I could go all day on used games, too. So how about we finish that? So, thanks for joining us today. I hope we had at least some insights. Wow, that almost looked like he glitched.
No. It's just, I didn't think that the fireball... Oh, there we go. And then jump on his head from here. Oh, he did glitch. I can't get to him from there. Oh, that is not cool.
So, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
No, keep it going for like 30 more seconds. I got this.
Come on, seriously?
30 seconds! I just need to jump over him. His fireballs are not that weak. I'm little Mario. And he's gonna glitch again. I can't even hear the fireballs coming. This is not cool. Oh, there we go. Jump over and... So so at the end of the day, emulation frowned upon, but it's a slap in the wrist. Piracy bad, but you can see their reasoning with certain things. I don't think this type of show is ever going to have a topic resolution segment. Because there are just way too many ways that this topic can go. Like, everybody's going to have their opinion. In fact, how about that? Whatever your opinion is on emulation and piracy and the way the new systems are going, leave your comments down below so that we can actually talk about it in a future episode. We can actually name your names, which would be really cool. Maybe. Something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I like talking about games. Do you?
Absolutely.
even
we just did it for an hour without even resolving anything, unfortunately, and I apologize for that, but it's just too big. It's something that... you can go on forever and ever about, and both sides have relatively valid arguments, even though, I mean, the piracy side really doesn't, because it's still illegal, it's still bad. But... And
it's still the internet, so the end game is still going to be, well, we're going to do it because we're already doing it, screw you. Which is unfortunate, but, I mean, you get a big group of anonymous people, do you really think they're going to fess up to anything or admit fault?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for joining us in our inaugural edition of Couch Co-op. I am Chris Taylor, this is Dan Aubichon, the guy who's been helping me out since I started doing a bunch of Magic the Gathering videos. If you're interested in Magic, the link to that is going to be in the description. And yeah, just let us know what you think about anything about you just heard.
All right, have yourselves a good day, and we'll see you later.
We need to come up with a way of closing this properly. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.